I spend a lot of time lurking in the weird parts of YouTube. That should come as no surprise to most of you. How else would I come across some of the stuff I've featured in videos before? But most of the time, I can't really squeeze out a video's worth of commentary from what I find. In fact, most of the time, I can't even think of anything to say at all when I come across something bizarre. For example, did you know there are videos of adults shitting in diapers here on YouTube? And here's a challenge. How many views do you think this has? And what do you think the like-dislike bar looks like? Got a guess ready? Well, here you go. What can you even say about that? I just didn't want to be alone in having to suffer awareness of its existence. So, yeah, now you have to carry this knowledge around as well. You know, share the burden. And there's a significant number of fetish-based diaper reviews with tens of thousands of hits each on YouTube, too. While we're on the topic of infantilization, here's another thing I want to share. I'm sure many of you have heard of Queer Kid Stuff. It's a YouTube channel run by this lady.
So we know that kids are strange and kind of weird, but I think that all kids are actually just real queer.
It features videos like this. A is for activist, T is for trans, adverts for pronoun t-shirts, and so on. A bunch of folks have expressed concern about this channel, saying it's indoctrination material intended for kids and whatnot. But I had to ask myself, is this even being watched by kids? What's the fan base like? I did a little search.
Gay means happy. Queer kid stuff. You are enough. Here at Queer Kid Stuff. Yeah. Well, if you don't know what Queer Kid Stuff is, it's a really awesome channel.
Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if, outside of what's definitely being done with kids in schools, the social justice-y stuff that's ostensibly aimed at kids is actually for adults who are emotionally childlike, or not meant for them, but mostly enjoyed and viewed by them. I love the idea of these people creating content meant to help confused little kids, but having it used as wank fodder by adult baby fetishists who want to make sure their jerk material is politically correct. All this shit is on YouTube. It's gonna mix together eventually. And I'm also imagining having 10-year-olds who want help and feel messed up in the comment section talking to 30-year-old versions of themselves who never got any real help. Who never got any real help or worked on anything because they've been told they're good enough their whole life, or because they've been telling themselves they're good enough. You can't hate yourself, okay, because you will crash and burn. That's no way to live, but you can definitely become too complacent, and that's what I'm seeing become more common. Pride in the sense of asserting that something about you doesn't make you less than other people is stretching out and becoming a pride that means you are great no matter what. You are just inherently sufficient. Jumping back to the Queer Kid Stuff video, check out this bit of their theme song.
You are enough here at Queer Kid Stuff.
Right? It's Complacency the Musical. I searched around for more bold, non-binary people of the sort I collect, and look what they're saying.
Respect me, because I am enough. I am beautiful. I am nature.
This attitude is everywhere in this alternative gender stuff. What does being good enough mean? It means you don't need to improve. And that is the biggest pile of bullshit possible to pretend to believe. You don't just need to improve because you aren't perfect, but because there's nothing more satisfying than self-improvement. I watch videos like this and get the impression that a legitimate response to prejudice based on one element of who someone is leaking out onto them as a whole. Like it's not gay pride anymore or something like that, but me pride. I guess I should cover something from the last video again next. Bunch of folks think I didn't read enough tweets from the
All I want for Christmas is
White Genocide tweet professor. Let's call him White Genocide George. Or people thought that I didn't do enough research. Well, I had read all the tweets people brought up, and then some. Maybe you should have researched my Twitter, where I've been talking about this for a while, before commenting, huh? Or you could have seen me shitposting in chat during Sargon's stream about this. I had also read some of his writing outside the confines of Twitter's character limit. And while he apparently supports violent protest, I simply do not believe this guy was sincerely saying he wants light-skinned people to be killed en masse for Christmas. That tweet was not a serious call for violence. It was a play on a song, corrupting something innocent and cheesy. At first I thought it was meant to be the Mariah Carey song, "All I Want for Christmas is White Genocide," to be funny in that way, but someone convinced me it was "All I Want for Christmas is My Two Front Teeth" because the syllables fit. My interpretation could be wrong, sure, but from my perspective of having read a lot of stuff from people like this, it looks like he was taking the piss. I seriously think his tweet saying the Haiti massacre of white people was a good thing was meant to sarcastically mock people who consider race mixing to be white genocide by contrasting it with something deserving of that term. To be clear, this guy absolutely wants to get rid of white people. He wants the white race to be abolished. He wants a white genocide, based on what I've read. But his version of that doesn't necessarily need anyone to die. He's one of these whiteness is a social construct people. He wants to destroy the white category in society because he believes it's an oppressive class people can belong to. He doesn't desire the obliteration of people with pale skin. Now, I think he's wrong overall. I think his apparent viewpoint is kinda sinister, and what he said being a joke, which it certainly was, does not mean it doesn't reflect his views at all. My point in saying it's a joke isn't to suggest it doesn't carry a message, but to point out that it's basically art, rather than a transparent, literal communication. And if he thinks it was done well, he should keep it up, no matter how upset or angry people get. But while I think he's wrong, I also think the people and websites saying he's calling for extermination of a group of people are wrong, or at least being exceptionally uncharitable. Like I said though, maybe more info will come out about him. Now that I'm doing more frequent videos like this, I have a space to share an update if I become convinced otherwise. Speaking of more info coming out about this, that petition going round to have his meeting with higher-ups at the university regarding what he wrote on Twitter recorded and made public is a good idea. Not because people will hear him defend mass murder, I don't think that's going to happen, although there is that chance, but because I'm pretty sure he's going to look like a Fruit Loop. Like, in my defense of his tweets, I'm not trying to say he's not a nut, I'm just saying I don't believe he's a psychopathic, bloodthirsty nut, for real. So I don't think those tweets should be taken at face value, and they're perfectly fine. You can make a point about hypocrisy and how people react to people saying this sort of thing, depending on whether they're on the right or the left or whatever, but I think even if you don't think people should be allowed to call for genocide on social media, I think this is okay, because he's not really doing that. However, on top of all I've said, like I said last time, he courted this response. He must have known how people less familiar with people like him would take what he said. Reading his writing that's available online is a fucking word salad nightmare, like most critical theory stuff and anything published in Constellations, and he is a little bitch for deleting his edgelordery when it got a bit too much of a response. So I don't think I'm defending him, because I'm not. Not really. I'm defending what he's written. Partly because, honestly, I thought it was funny. He attempted comedy and made me laugh. And as far as I'm concerned, there are no rules to that. If you're going to condemn this guy for what he believes, he's a professor. He's written about stuff. He has books. Find stuff he's written that's deadly serious and condemn him for that. What he definitely really thinks, in an unambiguous, or at least much less ambiguous format than Twitter's 140-character snark machine. I'm sure many of you will find what he's written on ithinksalon.com about violent protest to be objectionable. Go for that. But even that, and certainly not his tweets, are worthy of a response like this. I've already told you how I interpreted his tweet about the Haiti massacre, but let's pick another one that people are bringing up. His "Make Communism Brutal Again" tweet. Like I said, I found that funny, and everything else funny. Thinking about it from his perspective, I think I get it. What he said sounds horrible, but to a professor fixated on race, whiteness, and white supremacy, "Make America Great Again" probably sounds to him something like "Make Communism Brutal Again" sounds to you or me. What do you think Make America Great Again, like it used to be, sounds like to a professor who focuses on racism and slavery? Right? I think that's the joke. That's why he based it around that phrase. That phrase he clearly has no love for because he had a picture of a burning Make America Great Again hat on his Twitter feed before he made it private. I might be wrong in my interpretation, but that's the thing about little quips and dickery and assholery on Twitter. It is open to interpretation. Though I will also say again that I also think it's really funny that some guy who wants to abolish white identity tried to publicly provoke people like white nationalists who want to promote or restore white identity, and ended up getting shit on because the rest of the world takes his tweets at face value and reads them as total murderous insanity. His tweets do look totally different depending on whether you're considering this ideological clash that's going on or not. And I think that's that for this topic. I'm not going to keep boring you with that. You know, I do keep thinking, should I talk about this, or do I need to explain so much background info that it's going to be a pain in the ass, making sure no one's out of the loop and completely confused? But then I remember most of you probably do what I do, and just put videos on as background noise, focusing when something you recognize comes up. One last thing. I experienced a microaggression today. I was walking my little Jack Russell Terrier, Moose, and it was pretty cold out. There was frost and ice everywhere. So, as we walked down one particular path, a lady approached me and said Happy New Year. Nice. She warned me that the way she went was slippery, lots of black ice. Nice, good warning, thank you. And then she looks at my Crocs and says, but it was fine for me because I have proper shoes. Proper shoes! What's that supposed to mean? Anyway, that's all for today. Gonna just drop another reminder here that links to all my other accounts on other sites are in the description. Twitch especially, I have a load of fun with people on. And until next time, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.